Hi, I'm Lois Vogel-Sharp. Today is 9/29/19, and I received this word this morning, basically about what's going on in our country and everything that's happening. I am really disturbed. I don't know if any of you are. I'm really disturbed about what's happening to our president. I understand, when you have intentions and you're trying to help somebody and they come back at you and they turn it around. It happens a lot with me. And we have to understand something. Our president doesn't have to be in office. He was very well off, very comfortable in his life, and he didn't have to do this. There was something that made this man do this because he wanted to help the country. He felt he could help the country. And he has helped the country in many ways. He's made us self-sufficient. He has done things with the economy. He has done things. But there's a major problem in this country. It's divided. And a house divided falls, the Bible says. We're so divided. And it's not like we just disagree with each other. There's actual hatred. Because it's the wheat and the tares growing up together. And it's just that simple. Now we find out that even the Senate, all right, that's supposed to be all for him, there's supposedly 39 that if they didn't have to say their vote, would be voting against him to impeach him. These are people that are not listening to the Spirit of God, and I'm going to tell you why. Because the man was brought in by God. It was prophesied through the real prophets that he was going to win the election. I was one of them that got it. We all knew that he was going to win this election because God told us. God has spoken to us and told us that he is in office to help the country. Now, we either believe that or we don't. There are so-called prophets out there that are saying that he is evil. I am telling you, that's a lie. The man might have a little arrogancy, might have little problems here and there, but he is put in there by God to do a work for the Father and for our country. He's fighting crime, basically. He's fighting corruptions. He's fighting those that don't want to do things the right way. And you know something, what the devil does when he comes at you? The very thing that's the opposite of who you are is what he accuses you of. And that's exactly what they're doing with Trump. What they're accusing him of is what they actually did. They looked to sway the election. It's on record, all the things that they've done. But you see, they won't investigate that. They don't want to investigate that. And when our president comes at it trying to prove his innocency, they turn it around that he's trying to come against an opponent. And they're just swinging it in a direction that's just not true. It's not the character of the man. If you see through the eyes of the Spirit, you'll see the guy's heart. It's the same with me. If you look through the eyes of the Spirit, you'll see my heart. I know my heart. I know what I actually feel. And what some people say about me is absolute lies. Absolute lies. I had years ago, they said I was rich and in need of nothing. If that wasn't so opposite of my whole person, I was poor and in need of everything when they said that statement. It shows you there are many, 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 many lies being spoken of and out there. And the lies that are out there are trying to get us not to put this man in again for office. And I'm going to say another thing before I read what the Father said. If you can't decide who to vote for, you don't like Trump and you don't like the other side either, and you decide not to vote, you're also throwing the election to the other side. Because a no vote is a vote. And then somebody on the other side votes and gets him in office because you didn't vote to put in the best man for the job. The best man for the job is the guy who's standing up for righteousness. It's the guy that believes the Bible is the Word of God. It's the man who's against abortion. They're lying about him. I am telling you, as a prophetess of the Lord, whatever you want to call me, I am telling you that they are lying about this man. Did he do things in his younger days that were not very nice? Yes, he did. Was he into women? Yes, he was. How many famous people do you know that weren't? Unless you have the Lord in your life, why wouldn't you? Think about it. Why wouldn't we do half the things that the other side does if it wasn't for the Father telling us it's wrong? We battle against the flesh all the time. And it's the spirit that raises up in us that keeps us from doing things of the flesh. And those that are in bondage to it are still struggling as Christians to get over some of these issues in our flesh. I thank the Lord that I don't have any issues in my life. The biggest issue I have is maybe I get a little bit, I hate waiting for things sometimes. You know, I want things to happen. You know, when the Father gives me a prophecy, I don't want to have to wait, you know, because I'm putting myself out there and I'm speaking things and I want it to be proven that I'm actually hearing from the Father. You know, everything we do is in faith. Everything I put out is believing in faith. Matter of fact, this prophecy, I got something and I stopped after I received it. Because he mentioned something about the Senate. We voted the Senate in, and the Senate is, you know, making problems. And I thought, well, the Senate is Republican, so how could they be making problems? And then it dawned on me. I ran it by Gary, and I stopped for a minute to make sure I was not saying something from my own self. And then Gary said, Lois, did we not just hear that 39 Republican senators would be voting for impeachment if they could do it behind closed doors? Therefore, what God is saying about the Senate is true. Just because they're Republicans, it doesn't mean they're walking with the Lord. You know them by their fruits. You know them by their fruits. It doesn't matter what we are. Republican, Democrat, Independent. You know them by their fruits. And if you look at Trump, there are fruits there. If you go into his life and you see the things that he has done, he has fruits. So let me read what the Father now says. And we must take heed to what is absolute truth, because this election, again, is vital in our survival as Christians in this country. And I'm telling you, those of you that are talking against Trump, you had better go to the Father with it, because you are doing an injustice if you're going to turn Christians away from voting this man in. Because what will happen is the Christians just won't vote, because they won't know who to vote for, so they're just going to back up and do nothing. Again, we'll do nothing. And then what happens when we do nothing? The devil walks right in. It happened in 1973 when abortion just floated right in, and we didn't say a word. We have to start speaking forth and getting out and voting and doing what we need to do. We voted him in because we all got scared that the other side was going to come in and we're going to have another 8 years of hell in America and turning this country and disrupting it from within against each other, which is exactly what that happened for 8 years. And it was going towards a one world system, which is not God. It's not the will of the Father to have a one world government, because you can't be in one mind and one accord with the devil. Those worshiping Allah and those worshiping the Antichrist, we're not supposed to be in one mind and one accord. We have to be following Jesus. So let me read now what God said to me this morning. I got this at 7:24. Before things go down to her knees, I have to tell you what you need to know. Your president is not what they make him out to be. You had 8 years of those who were trying to change your country from what the original founding fathers made her to be. You strayed from me and I allowed another to come in, and you saw clearly that evil was trying to take over. You prayed, you fasted, you spoke plainly of what was needed to get America on the right path. I took a man who has many faults, but has the audacity to challenge the status quo and do what is right. He is humble in my sight, for he knows I am the God who rules and reigns supreme, and he does know my son came into the world to save it. With that, you must know that I answered your prayers because you were pressured enough to get out and vote and change what the plans of the evil one were doing. You acted and it happened. When you, my people, do nothing to stop evil, it takes its place in trying to take over. You should have spoken up many years ago when abortion was made legal. Your president at the time was not following me. And your president before Trump was not following me. Remember how he claimed he was a believer, and then you saw the true belief he had by his actions, so you do not know them, so you do know them by their fruits. Your President Trump is truly in this office because I chose him to fight the good fight of faith. He does not need this, for he is very wealthy. Why did he run for president when he was very comfortable? He ran because I moved him to help America. Your tears and your prayers to help America were clearly heard by me, and I moved you all to vote for change. Now you are slumbering again, and the Senate has been taken over and has been creating problems. All right, that's the 39 Republicans. They are creating problems behind closed doors, and things are being leaked out to the Democrats, obviously, because it's being spoken of on the news, that they would turn against Trump if they could. But you see, they're chicken. They're cowards. They won't stand up because they are supposed Republicans, and they don't want to have the problem come against them, like maybe to get voted out. So they're a bunch of liars and deceivers. You cannot even say many in the party that Trump is part of can be trusted. It is truly the wheat and the tares, and you must look at the fruits and see who they are actually following. Anyone who is for the one world agenda is not from me, and it does not matter who the person is and what party they represent. America is one nation under God, and I will not stand by and watch Satan take her over. I put your president in to drain the swamp, and he is. You either believe this or you do not. The hatred goes beyond your realm because it is all part of the demonic takeover. And this battle must be won in the spirit realm, not the natural. I am going to knock down America to her knees once again so she can look up to me and not to her own power, which is not going to work. Blessings come from above, and the laws of your land are not my laws anymore, but Satan's. You must see clearly what I am doing with the man that I chose to be the president. He has the right idea of making the country a safe zone with the ability to take care of herself. He has the right idea about exposing corruption, and I will tell you that what they are saying about him is not true. He is trying to connect with other countries and is speaking as one with authority and as the leader of the world. Faithfulness is all part of it, and that is why he says what he says, to see where they are coming from. He has true discernment from me, and you need to know this. He is not in office to bring judgment on America. The other president was. I shined mercy down when I heard your cries for help. Now you must continue to pray and rise up and vote him in again. The crash will wake up many, and the other side is desperately trying to get you to turn against him. Anyone that knows your president knows he has his faults, but he does have a heart to help and a heart to bring healing to our land. The enemy will always tell lies about my true servants to keep as many from following as possible. The same with your president. He desperately wants him out of office so he can once again get things back on track, to join the world together under him. So you must rise up and take your stand against all this evil. I love you, and may you see clearly the truth in Yeshua's name. Love your Father who art in heaven. And that's what I got. Now, we can either believe that's from God or not. You know, I always think when I say that, believe it or not. That's what it comes down to. We either believe that somebody's speaking the truth from the Father or we don't. If somebody makes a mistake, that doesn't make them a false prophet. Just remember that. The false prophets were against God. Those speaking things that are not from the Father, that love the Lord, they're not false prophets. They're just not speaking prophetic things from God. They're talking from their own thoughts, or even from the influence of the enemy at times. Don't think there can't be demonic influence against a so-called Christian prophet of the Lord, because it depends on where their heart is at, where they're coming from. If somebody's out there for their own PR and they don't have humility in everything that they do, then there's pride, and pride comes before the fall. We have to look at things clearly through the eyes of the Father, through the Spirit. And Trump is in there because he is sounding the trump for the second coming, just like God told me. And he's been groomed his whole life for this mission to fulfill. And he is the one that is in there because he has expertise in the finances. When the crash happens, he's going to be the one that God uses to help bring the country back around from the crash. So, I'm Lois Vogel-Sharp, and I don't want to make this too long. Make sure that you get these out. If you have websites that you can put these out on, put them out. I give you permission to send them everywhere. Because the message of truth needs to get out everywhere. Everywhere. Because either we're real or we're not. And I pray diligently to the Father every single day that I would never put something out that was not from him. And I always wait and hold back before I put anything out. Because we are human, and we can err. Anybody can err. I want to thank those that are sending the quilts. Well, I haven't gotten a quilt yet, but I've gotten some pieces. Just anybody, just get a little material and send it. I want a part of all of you. Even men. I've had men send me little pieces of material. Just send me something so I can put this together and it can be part of all God's people. I want it to be a quilt that's part of all God's people. That's what I want. And then we'll make quilts for everybody, however, we'll see how far it goes, but I have people that are getting involved and I thank you for it. So keep praising the Lord. Don't forget the safe haven. Obviously we need finances to do that too. We're getting the roads going in. It's a long process to put the road in because trees have to come down. It's a big process. It's a long way up. Back into the woods, okay? This is the property behind me. It's a long way up back there, so it takes time to get it done. You've seen the beginning of it. We've showed you pictures, and as things progress, we'll show you. So, keep the prayers going, because prayer is what changes things, and rebuke evil. And make sure you go out and vote. Don't be one of those that's not going to make a choice. And make sure your choice is the godly choice. Has nothing to do with whether you like the man or not. It has to do with who has to be in there to keep our country protected. That's the man that's in there right now. He's the one God put in there for a purpose. So, I'll Lois Vogel-Sharp, and I'll be back when he sends me back again. Have a blessed day.